In this tutorial, we'll be covering implementing DigiCam into a story framework project. So the initial setup of DigiCam will be almost identical to the default setup for DigiCam. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So firstly, in our project, we go up to Edit and then Plugins. We're searching for the Blueprint File Utilities plugin. We're going to go ahead and enable this and restart our editor. Now that the Blueprint File Utilities plugin is enabled, we can open up our content browser, go over to our Story Framework folder, Core, Example, Character Blueprints, and we're looking for the SF Demo Player Controller Blueprint. We can go ahead and open this up. Inside here, we can go to the Components hierarchy and hit Add. We're searching for the DigiCam AC or Actor Component. We can hit Compile. Class Settings. By implemented interfaces, we can hit Add, and we're searching for the DC controller data underscore BPI. We can add this to and compile once again. If we drop down our interfaces tab in the bottom left, we can see we have the get DC component from parent function. So we can double click on this to open it up and drag the newly added DigiCam component and plug it into the reference pin. Let's compile and save once again. Back into our content browser, if we go over to DigiCam and open up the DigiCam info data asset, we can set our gameplay input mapping to SF's input mapping, which would be SF gameplay underscore IMC, and hit save. Then back into our content browser. Under Story Framework, we can go to Core, Blueprints, Example Input, and we're looking for the gameplay IMC. We can go ahead and open this up. We can add a new input mapping and call this photo, or find the photo camera underscore IA. So by default, this is binded to Q. Again, this can be changed. Let's add another input mapping. This one will be photo album. And the default input bind is B. Let's hit save. Next, we're going to take note of our move and look input actions. So this is the gameplay animation sample project integrated story framework project. So the move and look inputs are a bit different. I'll explain in a second why this is important. So firstly, let's go to the DigiCam folder. Let's go to Core, Inputs. And let's open up the photo camera IMC. So we now need to replace the move and look DigiCam inputs with our own. So the GASP project uses the move and look inputs named IA underscore. So IA underscore move and IA underscore look. I'll attach a screenshot on screen right now of what the move and look keys are for a default story framework project, so one that isn't integrated into GASP. Just for further reference, if you're implementing DigiCam into a completely standard story framework project. So let's hit save. Next, we can jump into modifying some of story framework systems to better work with DigiCam. So firstly, what we're going to do is go ahead and open up our content browser. Let's go to Story Framework. Let's go to Core, Blueprints, Components, Other, and we're looking for the SF interaction widget underscore scene component. From the event graph, we can go to the update component logic, the set interaction prompt opacity graph, and then the get interaction widget opacity. So here we're going to define to hide interaction prompts when the player is using the photo camera. So we can drag off of the output pin and give us some space here to work. We can select this select float node and copy and paste it as we're going to use it again. We can connect the return value into B. Then what we're going to do is we can also disconnect the return value and plug it into our new select float. So now what we're going to do is we're going to right click and search for get DigiCam reference. So this is a reference to the DigiCam component. Off of reference, we can search for get photo cam actor reference. So this is a reference to the photo camera actor that gets spawned. And we're just simply checking if it is valid or if the player is essentially in the photo camera. This is what that means. And we can plug this into the pick A of our select float. So if we drag this a little bit away, we now have that set up. If we go ahead and test this, we have our photo album all working, our photo camera is also working. You can see we don't see our interaction prompts anymore when we're in the photo camera. Next up, we're going to make sure that we are completely disabling interaction when the player is using the photo camera. We're not so worried about the photo album, as the photo album input mapping doesn't include the interact key, so there's no need to disable any interaction prompts or interaction in general when we're in the photo album specifically. With the photo camera, we are moving around and looking around in interactables. We might still be able to display prompts when we are directly looking at an interactable. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our content browser. Once again, story framework, core, blueprints, components, core again. Looking for the interaction manager. We're going to go ahead and open this up. Inside the event graph, we can go to interaction dependencies, general camera interaction trace, and we're looking for the get interaction trace condition function. We can go ahead and open this up, and we're going to add a new condition here. So we can copy and paste the last branch and plug this into the true into the true return node, and position this up by the other branches. We can just neaten up this graph so everything's uniform. So we have the false into the false of the return node and the true into the true of the return node. So this is a similar process for the prompts that we did. So we can do a get DigiCam reference. Off of the reference, we can get photocam actor ref. Off of here, we can search for is valid. Now, with this set up, we also want to drag off of the is valid and search for a not. So we're checking if the player is not using the photo camera. Previously, we checked if the player is using the photo camera. This time, we're checking if they are not using the photo camera. So we can rename this to stop tracing if using DigiCam. Let's compile and save. So we can test this out now. We're not getting any interaction prompts from our interactables, and when we look at an actor, we're not getting the prompt to interact with it either. Finally, we also want to disable the player from being able to use the photo camera when they are in any custom view camera angles within Story Framework. So at the moment, if we go and hit play, we move into this custom view, and we hit Q, we can still use our photo camera, and it messes up the custom views a little bit. So we can go ahead and disable this, as we don't want our player to use the photo camera when we are looking through a different camera perspective. So the way we can do this is in the content browser, in the DigiCam folder. Let's go to core, blueprints. Let's open up the DigiCam actor component. We can then go to the open close update photocam collapse graph from within the event graph. We can zoom in, we're looking for this can open photocam condition. So this is off the open pin. We're just going to simply add a new pin to the AND node. And then in our functions tab, we can drag off and place a isPlayerViewTarget DigiCam function and connect this up into the AND. If we compile and save and hit play, our player can no longer use the photo camera when they are in a custom view camera perspective. So that should just about cover the entire integration process of implementing DigiCam into a Story Framework project. If you do by any chance encounter any issues while using both Story Framework and DigiCam, then please do feel free to send me a message either via email or Discord, and I'll be more than happy to assist where I can. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.